If you are looking for something new and different for the upcoming Compliance Week celebration in November, check out The Compliance Kids. It's my 3-book children's series on compliance and compliance professionals for children. But they make great gifts and great training tools for your employees. You can check it out on Amazon.com. We've linked to it in the show notes. The Compliance Tip of the Day. This is the podcast where we bring you daily insights and practical advice on navigating the ever-evolving landscape of compliance requirements. Whether you're a seasoned compliance professional or just starting your journey, my aim in this podcast is to provide you with a bite-sized, actionable tip to help you stay on top of your compliance game. Join us as we explore the latest trends from the Department of Justice, share some best practices, demystify complex compliance issues to help keep your organization doing business ethically and in compliance, and at the end of the day, more profitably. Tune in daily for your dose of compliance wisdom. Let's make compliance a little less daunting, one tip at a time. Now a word from the sponsor of the Compliance Podcast Network, Ethico.
If you're a compliance officer, middle managers are crucial in getting your programs from you to your frontline employees. But how do we activate those managers and get them on our side? Ethico's new Middle Manager Toolkit equips you with the skills needed to empower your managers, to promote a culture where ethical behavior thrives and employees feel empowered to speak up. Learn how to turn frontline managers into ethical leaders with our new white paper, Empowering Middle Managers as Ethics Champions. And did I mention you can get the whole toolkit for free? Head to ethico.com to download the full toolkit today.
Today on the Compliance Tip of the Day, I want to take a look at some of the lessons learned from the FCPA enforcement action announced last week of Telefónica Venezuela. This was an $85 million FCPA fine where a deferred prosecution agreement was put in place. So what are some of the key lessons learned? Well, number one, understanding the FCPA risk in high risk jurisdictions, I should say. There's not much more of a high-risk jurisdiction than Venezuela, but when you couple it with the high-risk nature of telephone licensing and governmental regulation of this industry, you see that it's really a double or even maybe a triple high-risk business in a high-risk jurisdiction. It just does not mean you can't do it or don't have to do it. It just means you need to have a high-risk management strategy in place. What's the role of third parties? Well, unfortunately, for the past 25 years, the highest risk in FCPA has been, and it still is, corrupt third parties. This makes comprehensive third-party due diligence as critical as any other part of your compliance program. Every relationship with suppliers, contractors, or intermediaries should go through rigorous vetting, including checks for conflicts of interest, bribery risk, and financial irregularities. You need contract clauses which require compliance and audit terms, but the key is managing the relationship after the contract is signed. And then one other point that I don't think we typically talk enough about in FCPA enforcement, that is the long tail of the FCPA. The underlying facts of this matter occurred in 2012 and 2013. This demonstrates the lengthy tail of FCPA enforcement. So during the time question, the company participated in a corrupt currency auction that allowed the telecom giant to exchange its local currency for more than $110 million in U.S. dollars. The lessons for compliance professionals is that the actions of a subsidiary can, for many years, come back to bite you in your collective corporate backside. It was clear that Telefónica did not self-disclose, at least initially, and that they did not cooperate with the Department of Justice. Whether that was because they didn't have the documents or didn't want to cooperate is unknown at this point, but it's a stark reminder of the consequences of FCPA enforcement from now 10 years ago. So you've got to have documents, you've got to be able to present your defense, and you've got to be able to show compliance. This is Tom Fox again. This new podcast, Compliance Tip of the Day, will appear daily. And frankly, it's one of the most requested topics for a podcast that I get on a regular basis. It's going to be short and sweet with one tip with some takeaways that you can utilize to implement into your compliance program. If you've got a question that you would like a tip on, please submit them through our website, and we will use them in an upcoming episode. The Compliance Tip of the Day is a production of the award-winning Compliance Podcast Network. Finally, this podcast contains promotional materials.